Okay. Jesus Christ. So, I've been teetering around the idea of trying to make this solo episode for a very long time now. And I just kept on thinking so much like, fuck, what do I talk about? What is the point? What is the point of all of this? I should also say really quick too that earlier today, I don't even know what fucking time it is. Um, I took 5 grams of mushrooms, which is the old Terrence McKenna method, and was just sitting in my room in complete silence. I guess just fighting my fucking demons or whatever, and just trying to, I guess, make sense of this world. like, um, and that was what this all kind of ended up just being about. Is like, why did I start doing this? Like, why did I start trip sitting? That's what I want this solo episode to really explore, is why the fuck did I do this? And it's to tell this story of me, I guess, in this state. Like, what is a psychonaut? Why do we explore consciousness, explore existence, all of this? Like, clearly there are other people that think the same way. Like, there's a reason that there's a community that we exist. So I wanted to give that community a voice and just simply, I don't know, just ask the deeper questions that, like, I think all of us are thinking similarly in wanting to explore like these deeper parts of ourselves. Like, I think constantly, like, we tell ourselves these stories to try to make sense of what the fuck's going on. But like, the truth of the matter is that, like, none of this makes sense. Like, I keep coming back to that. It is the fact that literally nothing we do makes any sense. But I think we try to tell ourselves all the time that, like, it does make sense. And it's just like this constant struggle of trying to figure out, like, why the fuck am I here? Why am I obsessed with telling this story? Like, who gives a shit? And that's the point. Like, that right there. That right there is the point. Like, we just exist just for the sake of existence. Like, it doesn't have to be fucking deeper than that. And like, we can just enjoy that. And maybe just not take shit so fucking seriously all the time. And like, just be fucking honest. And like, it does take like a lot of honesty. Like, to really fucking deep dive within yourself and like say, like, who the fuck am I at my core? And just understanding that, like, I'm not all of these things, like all of these stories that I tell myself. Like, I'm not the traumas that I lived through as a child. I'm not the job that I tell myself that I am, like, right now at this very moment even. Like, I'm at my core none of those things. And like all of us are also like none of these stories that we tell ourselves, but like we just continually try to make sense of a nonsensical world. I keep on thinking right now too. I just watched Everything Everywhere All at Once again, which is just a fantastic fucking movie. And it's like it gets so meta. Like that's it. It keeps on getting to this fucking like meta stage of like, what the fuck are we here for? Like you can go the nihilist direction of being like, well, like none of this matters. Like, why am I here? Or you can see the fucking beauty in it all. Like, all of those just like absolute mundane moments of just like humanness, of like who we are all at our fucking core is these human beings just continually oh my god, trying to make sense of this world that just inherently doesn't make any fucking sense. And we've all just like sort of, again, like against our wills, like have bought into this world, which is hilarious in its own way. But like, you know, like we don't get to choose where we're born. We don't necessarily, I mean, depending on who you talk to, you don't necessarily choose like who your parents are, you know, the struggles that you're going to have to go through as a human being. You know, I'm speaking strictly in terms of like, you know, our financial situations, like, you know, are we upper middle class, whatever the fuck. None of that inherently matters or makes any sense. But, you know, all of these burdens that we're born into and don't have a choice, like we at our core are not those things. That's the story that I'm trying to tell, I guess, at the end of it all. So I have no idea how long I've just been rambling on, but it feels like it's been absolutely fucking forever. And I literally can't tell. It's actually, I think it's only been 8 minutes. You fucking kidding me? Oh, this is obscene. It is obscene. It is. Everything we do, everything we tell ourselves is just genuinely obscene. And I just want to stop taking shit so fucking seriously all the time. Like, just, if we really just saw each other for who we are, this right here, at our very core essence, humanness. Oh my god. I think a lot of our problems would just go away, like naturally. Like if we don't see each other so much for like, oh, you're Republican, oh, you're Democrat, oh, you believe these things, oh, you believe these things. Like if we just saw each other for who we are at our very essence, of just like these creatures that simply want to be loved. We want to be nurtured. We want to be held. All of these things that are just fundamentally part of the human experience. That we don't talk about very much because it's like gross, like it's like the icky stuff. Like we don't want to talk about the icky stuff, you know, because then we get reminded that, like, you know, we're all the same, like, and like for whatever reason, like we don't want to be reminded of that. Like we don't want to truly see ourselves for who we are. Like we're always the harshest critics of ourselves. And it's just so interesting, like, why is that the case? Like, why is it so much easier for me to like see the faults in somebody else and like accept you for who you are at your being, a fundamentally human individual, but yet I can't see myself in that same way? Oh. It's just so interesting. I can keep going on about this for a very, very long time. And I guess I'll try to bring this back, I guess, once again, because it's been 12 minutes now. And holy shit, does it seem so much longer than that. Really is wild how I mean, time doesn't fundamentally exist. Like all of these structures that we just like live our lives by don't fundamentally exist. Like it makes me just jealous of those motherfuckers that like the indigenous people that just like live on the land. And like that's it. Like that's it. There's nothing more we need to fucking do. Like I get it. I totally fucking get it. I'm jealous. Like I submit. But for whatever fucking reason, because I was born into this capitalistic system that I still, I guess, want to live in some sort of ridiculous way. Even though like I can acknowledge the absurdity of it while still understanding that like I'm choosing to do this. Like I'm choosing to still live in this system. But like I could at any given moment, if I really wanted to, I could just fuck off and go somewhere else and not be part of this system at all. Like that's absolutely an option. So like anything that I do, I guess like anytime that I'm like, you know, oh, woe is me, like times are tough, I don't want to get a job, all that shit, like I'm choosing to do this. So acknowledging at least that it is my choice makes it a lot easier to live with. It makes it a lot easier to have that job that I don't necessarily want simply because I need to have money to live in this system, in this society as it is. But if I really wanted to, I could fuck off down to somewhere in South America and just live off the land and just not give a fuck. And I think that's there's got to be some part of like us as humans that live in this system, in this fucking society, that like think that like think like what if I were not part of this. And this goes back to just like deeply examining fundamental truths that we accept about who we are and what we do. But at a fundamental core, and I'm pretty sure I said this earlier, but like we just really want to be nurtured and like accepted and loved. And just the society we live in like doesn't really fully recognize that, which just sucks so much. Like, damn. Like, who the fuck agreed to this shit? Like, that's the absurdity of it. Like, somewhere down the line, somebody had to like, again, exchange like their fundamental truth of like, I just want to be fucking accepted and loved, like for money at some point. And like, that sucks so much. Like, fuck. Why did we have to make somebody make that choice? And fuck those people. The government, society, organized religion, whatever the fuck it was. Fuck those people. For like forcing somebody to choose and like not truly holding space for people to come to these fucking conclusions on their own. Because if we just hold that space, like without telling people what to think and telling people to like just fucking love each other, like you will just come to these fucking conclusions on your own. I promise. So like, I don't need to fucking preach at you and tell you to do this. But what I can do is sit here in my most vulnerable state and hold space to allow you to be at your very essence, whoever the fuck you are. And we need more of that. Like, let's just have more of that. It seems so simple when I fucking, say it like that. Like, why don't we? And there really isn't an answer. Like, that's, again, like the absurdity of this society that we've all like bought into. Is like, there isn't an answer. And that's okay. But like, we need to take responsibility for our shit too. And like realize that, like, again, like we didn't have a choice, but like here we are. So like we need to take fucking ownership of this shit. And like the way to change it is fundamentally just to like live truthfully and like stop living in a way that like we're so scared of like triggering others and just walking on fucking eggshells all the time. Like, man, it's so exhausting. Like, I know I'm not the only one that's just this fucking exhausted of that shit all the time. And like it plays like even in my own friends and in my own family, for sure, it's a whole nother fucking thing. But like, even in my friends, like, things we don't really talk about, like, we don't want to pry into because we don't want to sound like rude. Like, who gives a shit? Like, this is all part of us. Like, this disgusting being is like all of our, like, whether we want to admit it or not. Like, I'm sorry. Uh, like, this disgusting little gremlin thing that you probably throw in the corner and like don't want to acknowledge its existence, but like, it's part of you. Sorry. Oh my god. Uh. And so once we just accept that, accept this part of ourselves, like this terrible part that we don't want to acknowledge its existence, like as part of us, and then like give it the love, give it the nurturing, give it the acceptance, give it just like these things that are just like fundamentally human. Like, it's so simple. We really overcomplicate this shit out of this. But like, man, it really does come down to just like actually giving a fuck about the people around you without wanting something in return. Like, I don't give a shit if you don't want to love me. Like, I'm still gonna love you just for the sake of it. Just like, because that makes me like, out of fundamental existence, like, loving others makes us fucking happy. Like, there's a reason for that. Like, who the fuck am I to like try to figure out what the reason is? I guess maybe I'm trying to do that in a way, but like, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. So like, I just want to live in a society where we can agree upon and just like accept and acknowledge the truth of it, that we all just like want to fucking love each other and like be accepted and just be human and like be allowed to be ourselves. Like, we go through these fucking mental games and gymnastics of like telling ourselves that like whoever we are right now is who we want to be. which is correct, but like at the same time there's I guess there's a lot more nuance to it. I don't really know where the fuck I was going with that thought, but which really brings me back to the point of like, why do I do any of this shit that I do? And it's just because, like, that's it. Like, there doesn't need to be a fucking reason beyond that. Beyond any of this shit. And again, just like acknowledging that truth right there, that like, I just kind of liked it. Who gives a fuck? Like, and just accepting that for the truth of what it is. Just make things a lot easier. Like, there doesn't need to be like, I don't need to be thinking about like, oh, well, I want to turn this podcast into a fucking business and then I want to sell all this shit. Like, I do want to do all those things for sure. But like, that's not why I'm doing any of it. Like, why I'm doing this shit at its core is, again, just to like hold space and like allow people to just fucking be. And like tell them, like, help you understand that like you don't need to be anything beyond this like messy human individual that you are. And like we all just fucking are. But we just don't want to admit it. So we tell ourselves all these fucking stories about like all this trauma that we've overcome. So like I'm this survivor and like I do these things and like now I contribute to the society that again just like doesn't actually really give a shit back at its core like who you are. So like let's just get out of that system real quick. But like once you leave, then you can understand, like you can see it for what it is. For like it's trying its best. It really is. Like this system that we bought into, like it really is trying its best. It's doing a really terrible job. Like such a bad job objectively at like holding this all together. Oh shit. But it really is trying its best. And just like see it for that. And just understand that like it doesn't have to be a fucking perfect system. Like it's supposed to change. It's like we don't need to like hold it to these things like, oh well, because it was, you know, our fucking forefathers 700 years, however many fucking years ago it was. Like who gives a shit? Like they did their best. They put in the best system that they thought made sense. And we right now are allowed to change that. Like it's okay. Like give ourselves fucking permission to fucking like acknowledge the fact that like I can still have respect for what it is that they did, for what they knew at the time, while at the same time being like, we should probably fucking change it though, because this doesn't really quite make any sense anymore. There's a lot of people that are still suffering out there, like just needlessly. This is exhausting. Like it really is. Like trying to figure this all out, and like I don't know why I took it upon myself. Which like I don't need to. Like I think this podcast is my trying to reach out to find that community. Like whoever the fuck is listening to this, if there's one person out there, tell me please. But like just also to let you know that like I'm here to acknowledge that none of this shit makes sense. And that's okay. Like we're all just doing our fucking best. Like we really are just trying our best out here. And like that's enough. That is at our core, like that's enough. So just try to fucking see that in other people. Or like some shit, like I don't know. Like that's it. Like we're all just doing our fucking best out here. We don't need to have all the answers. Like I don't need to be put together and like know what the fuck it is that I'm doing in order to help, in order to be able to like give you permission to do the same. That's it too. Like I want, like we're all these imperfect beings, and like that's completely okay. Like that's what makes us fucking human. And like we try to like hold ourselves like above to this godlike standard that doesn't fucking exist. Like the Buddha himself was like, don't make fucking statues of me. Because like that's you're missing the fucking point. It's all within. Just go inside of you. Like we all just need to sit with ourselves and just like be given space to do that. Like we're not, before we're just like thrown into this fucking shit that doesn't make any sense. Like at no point growing up did I truly like stop to think like why do I feel the need to go to college right now? Like, to me, that was like such a fundamental like part of my existence of like, I'm going to go to college. Like, it was like it wasn't even a choice just because that's how my parents felt. It's like I didn't really have a choice in the fucking matter unless I was brave enough to tell them to fuck off, which I was not. But like, again, like, we don't have a choice when we're thrown into this shit. But like, we need to be given like this time of like before we're told we need to figure it all out, of just like the time to just fucking be and like ask these questions of like, who are we at our core? Like, who do we want to be? How do we want to contribute to society? All these things that will actually help in the fucking long run. But like, we're not given the time to like actually think about that. So like, before we're gonna be like, I guess I'm gonna be a fucking investment banker because I'm gonna fucking sell software to some motherfucker to also like isn't happy and just doesn't give it, like, all just to make money for the sake of making money. Like, money's cool, man. Like, I've got nothing against the capitalist system to like make money. In fact, I want to be a part of it. I want a lot of money, but like, it's not the point. I think we get lost in that like, this is the point of our existence, is to like get more of this thing outside of ourselves. But like, once we see and can acknowledge that inherent value within ourselves that is already here, like, that's what's going to allow us to get the wealth and get the things outside of ourselves. But like, we need to like see it all within ourselves first. Like, I guess that's the idea behind fucking manifestation and whatever the fuck. It's just seeing these things like already, like, I am already abundant, I am already loved, I already have these things, which is like so true. Like, again, we don't need to be anything more besides this. We've already fucking done it. Like, I'm gonna walk outside later today and just like realize like, this is it. Like I did it. I don't need to do anything more. But like, again, we then tell ourselves these stories that like, like, we let ourselves believe that like, we do need to be more than this. And like, it's so sad. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that somebody somewhere made you believe that you weren't enough. Like, I laugh when I say it, because I mean, like it's like a little funny. Because like, I can just see it in that person of like them believing that they weren't enough already. So like, they're trying to bring out the best in you to like tell you that you're enough, and it's like this like never ending meta cycle where like, they don't truly believe already that they're enough. And I guess I'm here to say that you are or some shit. None of this shit matters, and it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to have meaning. And just acknowledging that at its core, that like, again, I just talked about this, but like, again, like, we're all just trying our fucking best out here, and that's okay. And so if I can acknowledge that in somebody else, that like, I see you for like the troubled human that you are, that's just trying your goddamn best, and just have some like compassion. Like, it's so simple, It's so unbelievably simple. And we just overcomplicate the shit out of it for no reason. Like, why do we do that? Oh, God. It makes no fucking sense to me. Like, it really doesn't. And clearly there are others that agree with me here. What, psychonauts, whatever the fuck we call ourselves, just people that, like, want to experience this, like, the human essence for what it is at its core. Like, we want to dive into, like, why the fuck are we here? But, like, at the same time, to also acknowledge that, like, we're just here to be here. That's it. And, like, that's okay. Like, it doesn't need to be deeper than that. And then you can start seeing, again, like, the other truths in people that, like, we just want to be held and nurtured and loved and, all this stuff that, to me, like, I still have trouble talking about. I think because I feel that I didn't get enough of that as a child. But, like, again, that was, like, me at the time refusing to give it to myself. Like, that's it. So, like, now it's this whole journey of, like, reparenting myself and, like, who do I actually want to be? What do I actually want to believe in? And it's okay to acknowledge, and, like, I don't, acknowledge my parents and thank them for what they did because they were just trying their fucking best. But that doesn't mean I have to take literally any of the shit that they told me to believe and, like, moving forward if it doesn't make sense to me. Like, that's part of thinking for ourselves. So, like, once again, which I think I said at the way beginning, is like, everybody can come to these fucking conclusions on their own. Like, I don't need to preach this to you. To just, like, love each other. And just, like, give a shit beyond what we normally want to, like, give ourselves credit to. Because, like, again, we live in these worlds and we think, like, we gotta make it, and, like, I gotta make the money because, like, that'll, again, like, it's all just, like, doing shit outside of ourselves. Like, it's all for, like, external shit. So, like, just turn that in itself. Like, just go inward. Please. I guess that's why I started this, is to fucking give people permission to just, like, take a break from all the shit that's going on and just, like, give you permission to, like, just stop listening to it all because it doesn't make any inherent sense, and to just, like, go inward and just sit with yourself and just sit in a fucking forest without the need to, like, explain yourself and tell people why. Just because, like, again, we are animals. We are. So, like, just acknowledge that. Like, I don't know why we try to be better than that. It's like, acknowledge the animalistic parts of ourselves and, like, give them permission to be, while at the same time giving ourselves permission to think about all this other shit that we think about. There's got to be some fucking reason for it. So, like, give ourselves permission to be and do that without taking everything so fucking seriously all the time. Oh, God. That, to me, is, like, the most exhausting part of this all. It's like, we're told that, like, we need to take things seriously. I guess, like, to me, like, growing up, like, I really believed that, like, I needed to take society for what it was, like, so seriously. But we just don't. We really don't. And, like, it sounds so silly to say it. Like, once you really see outside of it. And then, yeah, again, like, it gives you, like, the empathy and the compassion. Like, it all just comes with it. So yeah, I've been incessantly babbling on about this. About I don't even fucking know what. That's the point. This is the point of it. There is no point. It doesn't have to be a point. So if you for whatever fucking reason are still listening to this, which is beyond me, but if you are, thank you so much. Like I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I know it might not seem like it, but like I'm thankful to have a space to just be myself. Like I really don't care who listens to this shit. At all. But, you know, I definitely get caught up in wanting people to listen to this. But like at its core, it's just like the space to just exist. And that's it. This is it. Just be. I say it all the fucking time, but like just exist. And it doesn't need to be like anything beyond that. Cool. Thank you. Thank you all. I love you all. I really do mean that. Yeah, we'll see whatever the fuck I do from here. I've got no plan. Nor do I need one. If I want to just stop this, like I could. Like there's nothing keeping me from continuing to put out podcasts, but some part of me wants to for some reason. I don't even know what that reason is yet. But you're on this journey with me to figure it the fuck out. So once again, thank you for allowing me to just be. It's like that's what this is. It's just like finding the community and like allowing me to just like exist and figure it out. Well, you also exist and figure it out simultaneously, and like all of us are just trying to exist and figure it out. So dope. Cool. I love you.